Hello, good evening, and welcome to Mackmyra Live Episode 7. As you know, I'm Micky. If you're new here, then I'm Micky. And with me tonight is my good friend Carl.
How you doing, man? Yeah, call us the Mac on Insta if you like to follow me on the socials. Happy to be here. Happy to be back in Nottingham and on here to talk about some lovely products for you.
What do you mean back in Nottingham, Carl? What have you been up to?
Oh yeah, so I took my camper van around Scotland, Scottish Highlands last week basically, and just did a good, nice, just a casual 1,400 miles around Skye and Mull and all the rest of it. Drinking some whiskies, took a Mackmyra up with me, had the Yak liquor warming me up very, very nicely. If you don't already know, that's our latest seasonal and that's available in the web shop. Very honestly, genuinely, very, very good on a cold Scottish night. Like we had the fire on, we had a couple of glasses of Yak liquor, that lovely warming kind of pumpkiny spice was Bella. It was absolutely fantastic. But yeah, absolutely loved it. If you get a chance to go up to Scottish Highlands, highly recommend it.
Sounds good, mate. Sounds good.
Yeah.
So tonight, guys, we're going to be talking about our Gravity Distillery. We're going to go into quite a bit of detail about that. And we're also going to talk about the product, essentially, that makes up the baseline for all of our Mackmyra, which is Vithund. It's our new make spirit. So, Carl, do we have a wee special something for our
We do.
For our watchers tonight, our visitors?
Our lovely watchers, yeah. So we've got an exclusive offer for you. So those of you who are curious about the Vithund, you're going to find out more about essentially the process that goes into making it. If you buy any two bottles, any two full-size bottles on our store, mackmyra.co.uk, and enter the code VITHUND, you get a bottle of Vithund for free. So it's a really great way to try what the new make spirit, I guess, sort of tastes like. And you can see sort of, hopefully, through trying the Vithund, how that sort of that feeds into the actual final liquid that you try. And whatever two bottles of whiskey you'd get from us, hopefully you can taste the DNA in that from the Vithund. So yeah, use the code VITHUND at mackmyra.co.uk.
Nice. That sounds like a good deal, actually. It's always nice to get a distillery's new make and try it next to some of their core range or some of their experimental range and stuff like that. To see if you can pick out from the non-new make. See if you can pick out those core flavors from the new make. It's quite interesting to do that. I quite like doing that. I don't know if anyone else is as geeky as that and likes doing it. I know I do.
No, same. I think that's the thing. I think it depends on sort of whether or not you are, as me and you, be self-confessed kind of like geeks and would like to try and pick apart the DNA side of things. But you've also got those who are just curious to see, what does it taste like before the cask influence is in there. And I think hopefully, it's pretty evident what influence a cask can have on a liquid, and hopefully this will reinforce that for anyone who actually tries it. I imagine as well, as we said briefly, because it is essentially the base spirit, it'd be interesting to see what a few of our cocktail boys, Camille and Lawrence, what magic they could work with the Vithund and what they could come up with. So maybe that's something we can
explore that in a later show or something, Carl.
I think try that down in the future. Yeah, definitely.
So evening to Steve Laidlaw there. Just said hello to us. How you doing, pal? What is Vithund? Vithund, like you just said, is our new make spirit. So it's the raw, unmatured beginning of what will become Mackmyra whiskey after cask maturation. It's manufactured with the same craftsmanship, carefully distilled from our unsmoked or elegant recipe malted barley. Why Vithund? Well, it's easy, really. Vithund is a white dog in Swedish, but the reason we've called it that is the original American bourbon pioneers called their distillate white dog. So, a lot of people that do bring out their new make distillate for the market don't tend to name it. Not that I know of, anyway. Please, guys, drop in the comments if you've seen one with a name. But, we have it. It's available if you want to know the origin of our whiskey, experience the grain character of the malt and the fruitiness of the distillate. It's also become a beverage suitable for many different occasions as well, guys. As a digestive after dinner, or as a schnapps before dinner. It's also, like we mentioned there, it's also be quite interesting to use as your base alcohol in some cocktails, basically. So let's have a wee go on this, Carl, shall we?
Let's get into it. It's such an interesting nose.
Guys, obviously, quite a lot of you out there won't have a bottle of Vithun at hand at the moment. So feel free to pour yourselves a wee dram there, guys.
Yeah, because Patrick's got a Yacht liquor on the go at the moment. Shane, thank you. Yeah, we're in our new gear, our new clubber. Father side ready.
Golf ready, Cole. Golf ready.
Golf ready. Ready for the links. Yeah, that's the one.
Wow, you really do get that fruitiness right on the
Sweet,
nose.
fruity. Yeah.
Beautiful. And it's unmistakably, you've got that new make aroma about it. If you've tried any other new makes before, there is something quite similar about it, but it's right until you get right into it. So the first thing you smell is, oh, it's definitely a new make. Until you get your nose properly into it.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Sweet fruit, popcorn.
Beautiful. Obviously, we've produced this for the market as well, but we've taken it down to 46.1. So when you do try this, guys, it's not going to be it's not going to be straight off. Straight out of the spirit safe, okay? So it's not going to completely blow your socks off, which is good, really, though, because it's taking it down to a level where you're really bringing those flavors up without being really overwhelmed by the alcohol. You know what I mean? As you can do with some new makes out there. Yeah,
I was going to say, just as I was dosing it then, I forgot for a split second that it was cut to 46.1, so I was expecting to get, obviously that new alcohol kind of bam, hit me in the face type thing. But yeah, it's again 46.1. Like Micky said, it's a great spot to kind of taste what it's about, but not have it knock you for six essentially.
It's lovely. It's light. It's not too overpowering, but you get enough. You get that little bit of apple there. It's really enjoyable. I quite like that.
Yeah,
I do quite like that. You can see why it's suggested. As a pre-dinner drink. Do you know what I mean? As a wee schnapps, as it were.
Yeah, I think schnapps would be a good way to describe it. Yeah.
So, shall we talk about how we produce the Vithun then, Carl? Shall we?
Let's do it, mate. Let's get into it.
This will be a bit of an extended geek corner sort of thing. Really, we'll go in. We'll talk now a little bit more in depth about the distillery and how we make it. Really. So, guys, the Gravity Distillery was built and opened in 2011. Standing at 35 meters tall, as the name suggests, this building makes use of gravity throughout the whiskey making process. It was designed by the architects at TEA, whose mission it was to imbue the building with a character that captures the essence of Mackmyra, playfulness, sensuality, and a qualitative product and qualitative production. Yeah, so you saw from the top there, it is, it's not an out the way, it's an up and down the way. As you would say,
up and down the way.
Uppy and doony.
Uppy and doony. Okay, yeah. But that's a big difference, that is, though, isn't it? I know we've sort of touched on it previously. What is the sort of the main reason for that? I guess, Mick. I'm sure you're going to go into that.
We'll touch on that in a little bit, Carl. Let's not have any spoilers, sir. So production, how we're making it. So we all know in whiskey there's 3 ingredients. We've got barley, water, and yeast. Yeah. The barley we use comes from Swedish farms, and we always look to find the shortest and most environmentally friendly methods of transport where possible. The water used in the distillery is of a medium hardness and comes from the pebble-bedded river that runs through the estate. It's filtered for the dilution of the new mixed spirit only with UV light. Okay.
Interesting.
So we're climate smart. So we know that using gravity would be part of our vision for being climate smart, and the distillery makes use of the gravity at each stage of the process, starting with feeding the raw ingredients in at the top, the collecting the new mixed spirit at the bottom. Everything falls naturally from one stage of the process to the next. As well as this, all heat generated in production is used to heat our premises in a closed loop system. Right next to the distillery is the boiler that heats the water to 150 degrees C. It's fired by biopellets, and any wastewater is returned to the boiler at every production batch to minimize recycling. So even the straw from the barley is reused. Actually, a bit of a fun fact there, guys. It is used in the construction of the famous Christmas goat at Gavla every year. So there's a big Christmas goat that they do every year, which is quite interesting if you want to look into that. So in keeping with the climate smart, we've got traceability. So traceability is really important to us at Mackmyra, and every bottle can be traced right back to the batch of spirit it contains. So you know exactly in which bottles the spirit ends up. Every batch can be up to 2,000 bottles. So when our barley is harvested, it is transported to Viking Malt in Holmsted in southwest Sweden, where it is malted. After the malting, the malt itself is delivered into the distillery and brought to the top of the building with the aid of a scoop elevator from where it falls into one of the 2 hoppers or silos.
Nice.
Yeah, we've got.
That's not uncommon, that, isn't it? The whole malting off-site, for your.
No, definitely not uncommon at all.
Obviously, the smoked barley is still done on site. But the non-smoky stuff's off site.
So the smoked malt. Oh, what is wrong with you?
What? That's what I said. I said the smoked malt's on site. The unsmoked stuff's off site.
Yeah. So we make our own smoked malt ourselves as well. One of the only distilleries still in operation that still do that. We use Swedish peat. And we use juniper twigs, which are burnt in the boiler room. The peat comes from the Karen Mossen, just outside Gavle. And the juniper twigs we get from the energy company that has the job of clearing power line strips on the local heathland. So every floor, as you saw in the picture, you can see just behind me and Carl there, every floor of the distillery has its own part in the whiskey making process.
Yeah.
So up on floors 7 and 6. Yeah, that's our cleaning and sieving part. So before every batch, 1,500 kilograms of malt is opened and sieved, and the dirt and stones are removed by blowing air from underneath it. Malt is then collected and allowed to fall to floor 5. For our smoked recipe, 350 kilograms of that 1,500 is made up of our smoked malt. Okay. So we're down on floor 5, and it goes through the roller mill. Okay, so the milling, as we'd all know it from Scotch, there's our mill there. After sieving, the malt is milled in a roller mill for the different grades, fine, medium, and semi-coarse and coarse. After the stage, the milled malt falls into the milled malt pockets. That's quite a mouthful.
Milled malt pockets. Milled malt pockets.
Malt pockets. I'm not saying that 4 times.
Yeah.
So the mash tun is a round vessel. So this is still on floor 5. The mash tun is a round vessel with a perforated bottom and arms that are used to stir the mash. The mixture of milled malts or grist and hot water. It's fed by a tube and mixed with hot water, heated by waste heat from the distillery. So our closed loop heating system again.
Yeah.
Mashing extracts the sugars from the grains to become wort, which is then filtered through the grist bed and run off through the perforated bottom of the mash tun. The mash is rinsed with more hot water to extract the maximum amount of sugars. So that's 2 hot waters. We only use 2 hot waters. Okay, so that might become familiar to some people that have been to Scottish distilleries or some other distilleries. So the temperature of the wort varies from 65 degrees in the start of mashing to 95 degrees at the end. Before it is run into the fermentation room, it is cooled to 20 degrees, otherwise it would kill off the yeast when we add it. The wort runs downwards to the fermentation room on floor 3. Okay, so we're down onto floor 3 now. So obviously on floor 4 would be the bottom of these the mash tuns, etc. So we're down into the fermentation room where we would keep our 12 washbacks with a capacity of 9,000 litres apiece. From each mash, we retain 8,000 litres of wort. We use Swedish cognac yeast, which is normally used for making sweet dough. Fermentation takes 4 days and produces the wash or a beer of about 7% alcohol, ready for distillation. So yeah, we're on average with quite a lot of distilleries there for our ABV. But we're probably a day longer in fermentation than what would be considered the industry norm. Yeah. So most industry norm that people would know about really would probably be about 72 hours. So about 3 days.
Yeah.
So now we get into distillation. The stills are the traditional onion-shaped pot stills made by the Forsyths coppersmiths in Scotland. These are fired using biofuel pellets produced right outside the distillery. And here we can see the weak one, which is the wash still, and the strong one, which is the spirit still.
Mm.
You can see the wash bubbling up lovely there.
Bubbling away, yeah.
Yeah. So as we go down underneath, so the wash is heated by residual heat runs down into the wash still. During this phase of distillation, the wash is circulated with a heat exchanger held at 150 degrees C. You can see it just in the back underneath there, guys.
Mm.
So the condenser chills the vapor. It becomes vapor up in the pot still like it would normally do. Yeah. But in this way, probably the easiest way to do it is it comes into the kettle, the pot still, and then goes out of it, runs over the top of a radiator, and then back in again once it reaches temperature. Once it's back in there, the vapor starts to come off. Then the condenser chills the vapor to liquid again, called low wines, and is collected into the intermediate tank. The boil is stopped when the alcohol content in the distilled vapor goes down to about 0. The spirit is then pumped into the low wine still. Now, finally, it's time to get really, really involved. This is where the strong one comes in. The first run-ins from the distillation are called foreshots, or heads, as some people call it. It consists mostly of highly volatile, unusable alcohol and impurities, stuff that will make you go blind drunk.
Yeah.
This is then fed into the intermediate tank. That then comes the heart, so the bit we really want to get to, so the middle cut. The part of the distillation that is used to fill the casks. The heart is collected in a separate tank called the middle tank. So we're not confusing anybody with names here. You know, it does exactly what it says in the tin. The middle part of the
middle tank.
Put in the middle tank.
Yeah. Simple.
No confusion then, is there? Do you know what I mean? Nobody can mess it up. So after the heart comes the tails, or the feints. Low in alcohol and containing unwanted components. These are run back into the intermediate tank. So here you can see one of our stillmen is using an accurate sense of smell by measuring alcohol content. We decide when the heart is cut from the head and from the tails. The spirit that ends up in the intermediate tank is returned to the low wine still and is redistilled with the next batch from the wash still. So it uses it as a charge. So again, we're not wasting anything.
Yeah.
There's no waste there, guys. Yeah. The stills are our main consumers of energy. Yeah. That's why we've got our enclosed loop heating system, basically. So we're trying to minimize the amount of residual heat that we give off, really. So all the residual heat is used to heat other stages in the process and for heating our premises. So the distillery is kept at a constant temperature throughout the year. So there's no spikes, etc. When the distillation from the low wine spirit still is complete, the new make spirit is run from the middle tank to the spirit store down on floor 1. So on floor 1 we have the new make spirit still. So this is where we start to get the good stuff off. So the spirit from the middle tank is run into one of the 2 storage tanks in the new make spirit store. Each tank has a capacity of 5,000 litres. So we mixed 4 or 5 batches before diluting the new make spirit to 63%. That's our cask filling strength, 63%. The new make spirit is then ready for the next stage in its journey. And like I just said, that's where we pop it into the casks and then put it into the warehouses. As you can see there, that's John, the guy.
Yeah, I love it, John. Yeah,
the guy that runs our shop and does a lot of IT stuff for us.
Yeah, he's filling his own cask as well.
Filling his own cask there, actually, Carl.
Yeah, that leads on nicely, I guess, to our cask program and our cask consultation. So, thank you, first of all, Micky, for taking us through the journey of making our new make spirit, because there's a lot involved in that.
There is a lot involved,
So hopefully everyone who's listening again followed that whole kind of process. But there's a lot.
Well,
you loved it there. You love that detail, mate. So yeah,
I do. It's interesting. Especially with the unique heat exchanger system that we have for heating the pot stills, you know.
Yeah,
I've never seen it in any distillery ever.
Yeah, I think that's the striking thing about it as well. The Gravity Distillery, 2012 we're open, so it's ultra modern. Hopefully, some of the images you've seen in the shots there show you just how modern it is compared to maybe any other sort of traditional guest distilleries you've been to before. You can see the difference when using sort of the modern versus the old way, I guess it was. So on to the reserve cask program. So we do reserve cask consultations online, where you can pick yourself up a little little pack like this, and you've got 4 little samples in there. They give you basically a good journey into an introduction and experimentation into what our reserve cask program does and what it can give you by going through this. What are you going to go for today, Micky?
I'm going to try the ex-cognac, I think.
Cool. I'm going to go with port myself. So yeah, in this mini pack, you do get a American Oak Smoky, a Bourbon Elegant, and ex-port with elegant recipe, and an ex-cognac elegant as well. All the details are on the bottles as well, guys. So you've got plenty of information in there, and hopefully this gives you a nice, good, rounded view of what you can, I guess, sort of tailor make to kind of get the right experience for what you want from your particular cask. So the reserve cask consultations, it's a perfect way to kind of guide you from the start of your journey into the casking process. And basically following through to getting your own bottles, essentially. We're going to focus on the Mackmyra DNA and what it takes to go into our 30-litre casks. The sessions that we do online are bookable. If you go to mackmyra.co.uk, and one of our brand ambassadors, myself, Micky, Matt, one of the guys will take you through these sessions. So you'll be in a small group as well. That's one of the key things, because they are quite intimate discussions, I guess. So it's, I think, a maximum of like 10 people, isn't it, Mick? Something like that. Yeah, a maximum of 10 people in each one of the different sessions. And we'll guide you around sort of what importance the different spirits or the different oaks you choose will have on your final result. So you'll learn more about how to create your own single malt whiskey, choosing a cask recipe, and even the maturation location as well. That's because that can play quite a part to it. You know what the average gas temperature is, whether or not it's down the mine or up in the mountains, wherever it chooses to be. If you do also choose to purchase a cask, the cost of the consultation will be discounted from the overall cask price as well. So in a way, it's kind of like it's a good try before you buy, essentially. To buy a cask is absolutely a big commitment, and we want to give you the best chance to really get an idea of exactly what you want from that. And we should say as well, the events are hosted on Microsoft Teams as well. Yes. So if you are interested in signing up to having a little consultation session around the casking, just make sure you've got the audio visual capabilities on Microsoft Teams, so we can make sure we can have that back and forth with you. I guess in the new world, we've had to do quite a lot of this whole virtual, digital kind of conversatory process. So hopefully you've got access to that.
Yeah, pretty much everyone's probably got every platform going at the moment, aren't they?
I think so, yeah. So yeah, just so you know, Microsoft Teams is our platform of choice for our cask consultations. So shall we have a little down?
Well, you go through your one first, sir, because we're tasting 2 different ones, aren't we?
Go on, mate.
Your one first.
So I'm glad. So I personally prefer the port to the cognac, just on my personal preference. So I'm someone who usually likes the bigger, richer flavours, bigger, fruitier, richer flavours. For me personally, and this again, port gives me that. So I've got big fruit straight away. It's delicate alcohol on the nose, but then you get rich red fruits. And what we bottled at actually with this one, thinking about it, 49.7. See, that's the thing as well. So even a cask strength 49.7, it's not, for me, it's not knocking me out. Do you know what I mean? It's not got that kind of big over the top kind of alcohol hit.
It's not too overpowering as you'd expect.
Yeah. This for me would be the one I go for. That kind of port fruitiness. I should say from the 30-litre cask as well, because it's a smaller cask. Fortunately, you're not having to wait a million years for your cask to be ready. I think the sweet spot, we say somewhere between 4 and 6 years is probably the nice sweet spot to sit waiting on it. So you're not having to wait too long for it. And the end result as well, in terms of how many bottles you get out of it, somewhere between 48 to 50-ish. I think we say 48 minimum, don't we? Is what you're going to get from that. Yeah. So on a per bottle,
48 minimum.
Yeah, on a per bottle basis, you're looking at great value there.
That will be at cask strength as well, guys. We won't water any of that down for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got my lovely fruity port. How are you getting on with your cognac, Micky?
So honestly, there's notes of it that remind me of the apple blonde, but not quite. It's different to a seasonal release, Cole.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So obviously we brought out apple blonde last spring, not spring Scott, spring before. So there's elements that remind me of that in there, which obviously, it should do. Calvados cask, so there should be that sort of familiarity as well. And I get, but there's with the seasonal, it punches you in that face a little bit more. This is actually 46.4, so it's 3% higher than the seasonal. But obviously it's not the same because there's other casks mixed into the recipe for Apple Blom, and this is literally just a single 30-litre cask. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, absolutely beautiful.
I think.
Yeah, you do get a bit of a wood coming through that you don't get on the Apple Blom, but I don't mind that. I quite like that. That shows that it's come from that compact cask. It shows that's a bit. It's exciting. It's vibrant.
Yeah,
it's really, really enjoyable. So, guys, if you've got any questions, guys, for anything that we've covered, fire them on in. Let us know. Even just let us know what you've been drumming along with tonight as well. That'd be quite interesting to see. Well, me and Carl just enjoy a little whiskey.
Yeah, I think that's.
Sorry, mate, go on.
Go on, mate, go for it. No, go for it. You go for it.
So, don't forget, guys, we've got ready casks as well. So you don't even have to wait that 4 or 5 years. We can literally hook you up with a cask that's ready to be bottled right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we'll design the label with you, everything you get from the reserve cask and all that sort of stuff. Carl, we've got a special offer on at the moment for the reserve cask, have we not? Sorry,
put me on the spot there, mate. Are you thinking of something I'm not? Yeah, go on.
So if you buy a reserve cask, what you get is you have to pay your way to Sweden, but from there we'll pick you up. We'll give you an overnight accommodation, and we'll give you a hard hat tour around the distillery, down the Bodis mine. You'll be able to, if you plan it correctly, you'll be able to fill your own bottles in our brand new built 30-litre cask filling system as well, which we've got the new bottle filling system there, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, so and a 15%. I was going to say, and 15% off Mackmyra for 5 years as well. Yeah. See, if you give me a moment, Micky, out of the penny would have dropped, and I remembered. I remember what I needed to talk about.
That's all right, mate. We've all had tough days, bro. Do you know what I mean? We've all had tough days.
Still on holiday mode, clearly.
I dare anybody to put the hand up out there that's not had a tough day lately.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You're just back off the holiday as well, mate.
I think that must be. I think it's a little bit of holiday mode, sort of lingering through. But yeah, again, I think this is. Again, if you are curious about, about our casking program and owning your own cask of whiskey, I think that's the real thing to kind of hammer home is the fact that it is individual. It's individual to you. You're building it as you want it to your specification, and these reserve consultations are designed to help you reach the conclusion of what exactly you want. It's not just a shot in the dark. You can actually sort of taste what you're trying to hone in on. So I'd absolutely recommend getting on these consultation sessions to see what again is the right thing for you. And I should also just, I guess, put in as a little tease towards next week's show. We have just as of this Friday, I think, had our new 100% virgin Swedish oak casks that are ready to fill. So if you want to go full Swedish, the elegant recipe in there with in the Swedish oak casks, that's probably the nice little sweet spot of getting that true essence of what Mackmyra is about. I shan't go into too much detail, but it's the first time. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's a little teaser for next week. Make sure you check out the boys next week, and they'll talk to you a little bit more about the 100% Swedish oak casks we've got going on. And just also to reiterate, we do have the offer on again, guys. So if you buy any 2 bottles across the Mackmyra store, any 2 full-size bottles, you will get a bottle of the Vithund for free. So if you're curious about trying the Vithund, and you've watched us in the past and you've seen a couple of the shows and you want to try a couple of other different whiskies, pick up a couple of whiskies, chuck in the code Vithund, and you'll get that for free. And that genuinely is a really interesting tasting experience, one that's worth having a bash on.
Definitely. I'm gonna have a play about with that next week. I think see if we can come up with a cocktail or two for another show, Carl. I think.
Yeah.
We'll have to,
Sounds
we'll have to
like
get
a
the other
plan.
boys involved as well. I think we'll have to have a play
Yeah.
around with that. Right, guys. So I don't think there's any more questions. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's show. I certainly have. I like to get a bit down and dirty. Gareth, yeah,
In the
very
detail.
versatile, really good for cocktail bases. Yeah, brilliant, Gareth. Yeah, so yeah, I do like to get into it's been nice to do this one this week because I like to get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
In the geeky details. So hopefully you've all stuck with us. Really appreciate for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to like on the Facebook, follow us on the YouTubes and all that sort of good stuff. And yeah, so it's a good night from me.
And it's good night from me. You set me up for that one. Skull.